My name is Karuna, and we are here today to talk about resilience at workplace. So, as we are waiting for people to join in, we would start off with some understanding about what is the topic about and a brief introduction about myself. So, as I mentioned, my name is Karuna. I have 17 years of experience of working in the human resources area. For last 15 years, I have been in job working for multinational companies. And since the last 2 years, I have been in the HR field, HR consulting field, and helping organizations on the HR area. Mindfulness has been one of the areas that I have been focusing on, and one of the values that helps us build strong, inclusive workplaces is resilience. And also in the coming times, in these current times where we are as a human being and as organizations facing so much of crisis, the entire global pandemic that we are experiencing, what is important for us is to ensure that we keep to resilience, build up that quality of resilience so that we can survive for future. And with that background, I would like to take up some questions that would help us understand more about resilience. So one of the questions that Shikha has is, what are some ways to easily develop habits of resilience in the employees at workplace? So when we talk about resilience, let's understand first of all what does resilience really mean. Um, in certain definitive form, I would say that resilience is a quality of being able to bounce back from the adversity that you might have experienced. So bouncing back from the adversity in a positive frame of with a positive frame of mind. So if I have to break it into this, it has three aspects to it. Now, how can we develop the quality of resilience? Would be possible when we understand that at workplaces there would be a lot of effects that will happen because of the pandemic or the situation that we are experiencing, the stressful situations that we might be experiencing. So to develop a habit of resilience, I would like to get into helping you understand what is resilience all about, and then with that background, developing habit would be more clear to you. So resilience includes aspects like, how can I physically be more strong to be able to deal with the stress and pressure that every day comes to my life. So with that, there are certain techniques that we can develop, like deep breathing, relaxation techniques of exercising, and mindfulness techniques of being aware of our present situation, which will help us be more resilient at our work. When we look at it from a workplace aspect, there have been a lot of researches around this topic where organizations have come up with the high understanding and responses, and a lot of universities and companies have done research in this area. A lot of psychologists, neuroscientists have done research in this area to figure out that if every day we exercise for 20 minutes, our brains actually become much more calm, and we are able to assimilate more information, and which can help us make better decisions in life. With that background, you can understand that a 20-minute exercise or even a walking can help us better. With deep breathing, also, again, there are a lot of researches around it, that if we are able to control our breath, let's say in a stressful situation, we will be much more calm, and that calmness will help us choose the right options for ourselves. If we develop this habit at workplace also, it will help us build better relationships and better productivity in the organization. Now, if I talk about meditations, Again, there are a lot of researches around it which talk about that our brains become much more calm with meditation, and rather with a lot of different wave and vibrations that we operate at while doing meditations. It can help us really in terms of being highly productive. So how can we develop it? One way is to join some groups which can help you practice this regularly. Also, it could be that we create hobby sessions for our employees within the organization to practice such practices and help us build a resilient environment for each other. I'll talk more about these ideas of how you could continue to practice it in future. We'll move to another question, which Jigna is asking, where she's asking, how is being resilient beneficial for career growth? So let's understand this, that when I'm talking about being resilient, um, it impacts our life positively in all forms. How does it impact it? Uh, the quality of resilience helps us, become a better person in multiple ways. When we are much more calm, and it is not just about doing deep breathing practices or meditations only, but also about being self aware. So there are a lot of practices like creative visualization, which are part of resilience also. And some of the practices, if we time permits, I would walk you through those practices also. So think of it that when you do a certain kind of practice, it creates a certain energy around us. So from an energetic point of view, there are multiple levels of energy that we experience, the level aspects of our life also that we experience: emotional, mental, physical. When we practice such practices, it changes us in a very different way because it wires us in a different fashion. So think of it like this, that every day we charge ourselves with some energy which can help us be more productive and creative. And with that quality that we will be able to build up, our careers would also be enhanced. Reason being, when we will think differently and we will upgrade ourselves. So think of it like this, that let's say you have a computer which was an old computer, which is, it has a very old hardware. Now when we do such kind of practices, it helps us build up our hardware and software. The versions, for example, that keep coming in for software upgrades by certain apps, you would know that there is an upgraded version of the app that is coming. So similarly, when we do such kind of practices, there is an upgrade in the version of the apps that we are using in our brains. So when that will happen, your decision making becomes better, your productivity becomes better, your creativity becomes stronger, and if you're calm, your decisions would be better. So when it comes to career growth, um, with all these capabilities that you would be able to build up, evidently there would be a good shift in your career also. So think of it, for example, that there are choices of interviews that you're giving. There are different kinds of interviews that you're giving to different companies. Now when you're more confident, clear about your own self, and confident in terms of what your knowledge is and how you want to present yourself to your prospective employer, it would automatically showcase that in the energy that you would put across. Imagine if you're healthier, you would feel much better, more confident. And if you're emotionally stronger, resilience will help you move ahead faster, overcome your emotional challenges faster. And when you are interacting with people, you would be much more expressive, calmer, and more empathetic in understanding the other person, So automatically it'll go ahead and build you better relationship with your colleagues, and not just colleagues but also prospective employers whom you might be interacting with, and it'll go ahead and help you build a better career. So there is a very evident chain of betterment and growth that we would be able to explore with this. Now coming, so that's what I would like to showcase and tell you. So think about it from a point of view that how many of us would like that our phones batteries are at a low percentage. Let's say when your phone is at a 10% battery, your phone showcases that to us and says, okay, low on battery. Now what do? You always think of plugging it again back to the charger. So when we practice resilience and use certain techniques under that, it helps us to charge our brains, our bodies. And of course, when we are full charged, there would be a better response we will give as a person. Okay, so let's move to another question. Charita Reddy wants to know how to work on employees' resilience in a time of work from home. Very interesting question. When we are in a situation where we are working from home, resilience is a quality which any individual can develop. So, the good news for all of us is actually that some of us might be born with a better resilient quality, but our brains can actually rewire ourselves and we can develop that as a good quality. So, think of it as a quality that leads us to the road of betterment. Now, when we talk about work from home, rather in a situation like we are in these times when a lot of us are at home, it'll help us balance ourselves on the personal front and also from a professional point of view. So how will that happen? So resilience, again, is a quality that helps us consider the empathetic side of the other human being. So when we will be aware of our own feelings and also of what the other person is sensing and feeling, we would be able to respond to the relationship that we would like to build. So as a quality, if we are able to meditate more effectively, if we are able to visualize creatively. So let me explain you the technique of creative visualization. Now, now what we could do is that creative visualization helps us tap into the that aspect of our brain which is called as subconscious mind. The subconscious mind operates on emotions based on a preconceived previous thoughts. We have created certain emotions that we attach to some instances of our lives, and those instances and those emotions drive us to take decisions. So when we are awake, we use our conscious and subconscious mind, but when we are sleeping, even then our subconscious mind to a great extent is working. Now if I have to understand this, that if our mind is working and makes our decisions, we make our decision based on our emotions stored in the subconscious mind. And when I have to practice a creative visualization technique. Now what is that technique? A technique which helps us create a positive future and helps us to create feel that positive future, because our minds do not differentiate between past, present and future. So we can create that visualization which helps us create, so we can use that visualization to create better relationships, create better growth for ourselves, personal growth, create certain goals that we would like to achieve, and then it helps us with creating a betterment in our lives. Now, with that, creative visualization, what if we keep doing that on a regular basis in our homes? It'll help us establish good relationships with our with our family members, and also with our colleagues in the coming, with continuous effort. Now, with that resilience, we will be able to have better communication with our family and colleagues. Now, that quality, if we are exhibiting, it'll help us become better in whatever area that we are working in, while we are working at home. So if I'm resilient, let's say, even when I'm talking in this video with all of you, it is a place where I am being empathetic to you. I am also thinking of how I could give as much value as possible to the audience, so that we are able to create a connection between ourselves, and it is a good communication for all of us. So if I have to think of it, that while I'm at home, this quality even becomes much more important in these times, because if I'm able to bounce back with positivity, I know that I would have a better life going forward, not just for myself, but for my family relationships, and for my relationships with my colleagues as well. So Kanika is asking a question on, could there be any training programs for developing this habit? Yes, Kanika, there are a lot of training programs to develop this habit. And my company, Chrom Consulting, focuses on doing a lot of mindfulness techniques and practices. You can reach out to us on contact and at chromconsulting.com, and I would type that off in the chat box also to let you copy the email ID. You can reach out to us, and we would be able to help you with that. We are running certain workshops and programs which are available for individuals to join, and we could talk more about that in a personal level. Even the admin has that question. And then Asha says, as an HR, are there some courses to train employees in developing resilience? Yes, as an HR person, I look at it from a point of view of, I'm trained as a pranic healer and an Hermetic yoga practitioner. So from that perspective, I look at organizations like a body. So I do believe that HR is the heart of the organizational body that we operate in. And when I say that, HR, of course, needs to be very resilient, because as HR people, I worked in the HR for 17 years. And as HR people, what is expected of is that we showcase a lot of compassion to our colleagues. And that can happen when we understand more about human beings, showcase that we will quickly be able to overcome challenges that we have, and we will be able to bounce back to normal, which is the new normal for us. So there are a lot of programs that we as a company offer that. Arunima has a question: how to judge resilience in a potential employee during an interview? Very interesting question. So if, let's say, we are interviewing, use the star interviewing method, I must say, to find out whether that employee possesses, all of us have resilience, by the way, just to let you know. Now, the question is that what job are we interviewing that person for, and what, on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, as an interviewer, what level do you want that employee to be? So resilience will help in an organization to build up, if a person or a leader specifically has resilience, it will help them to make mistakes, and then also be able to quickly move forward with that. So if I have to think of it, there is a phrase called as fail forward, fail fast, fail forward. So if I, from a resilience perspective, if I look at it, resilience as a quality will help a leader in that aspect. So specifically for a leader, it will make a lot of sense to have a higher degree of resilience. And for employees, how, and now the question is, how do I check that? Resilience, if I have to define that again for everybody to understand, is a quality which helps us bounce back to the new normal uh, after you have overcome the adversity. So overcoming that adversity and bouncing back, if I have to rephrase it. Now, when we talk about overcoming and bouncing back, the learning agility of that person is very important. Is that person open to learning faster? So how can I check that? I could ask certain star questions. So what is star questions? Asking about what was the situation that you faced where you failed, what tasks did you do to overcome the failure or accept the failure also for that matter, what actions, what tasks did you perform, what actions did you take to move forward, and what was the response, what was the result that you got from the change that you created. So you could use a method like that, and it could help you figure out that how, let's say, learn open to learning that person is. That could be one value to be looked at, which could align with your organization. The other value could be how well concerned I am about people around me, and how well compassionate I am about my own self. So there could be questions that you could ask, like, um, let's say, and that means that the person would be a good team player, just to put it in a different language. So how can you check team player capabilities? You could check that with the questions like, you must have worked in teams in the past. What were some situations when you did some projects together with other people? How did you manage the conflict in that situation? And then how did you go ahead and create a solution out of it? What was the result of that? So share. You could also ask questions like, what were your learnings, let's say, if you failed in a positive outcome of the situation? So in that process, you would know that how genuine that person is, and how much concern is the person showcasing about other colleagues that he or she has worked with. Also, if the person is, let's say, clear about what he or she wants in life, that is another aspect to showcase resilience, because resilient people, to a great extent, would be genuine, authentic, to a great extent clear about how they would like to move ahead in their lives, what are some important values that they hold on to. So that could be checked using the star method, as I gave you some tips in terms of questions. Then I see there is a question. Hang on, I'm just okay. So Rima has a question: how to encourage employees to be more resilient? I think what you can talk about is that why is the quality so important? And once people understand that there is a benefit of building up that quality, I think encouragement is easy to do. Also, if you are a leader, leading by example will automatically help you encourage employees to showcase resilience. So, as a leader, can you lead by example by picking up some practices and talking about those practices to your colleagues to encourage them? Secondly, as I mentioned, that if we clear the why to them, the benefits to them, it's very easy for us to be able to encourage people. Okay, so another question by Ruhi is, how are resilient employees directly beneficial to an organization? So there is a concept called as resilient leadership, and resilience as a quality in employees. Now, how will it be beneficial? As we mentioned earlier, also, a resilient person will be strong in building relationships with colleagues around. And as you know, those organizations are successful which have a great culture amongst themselves, because companies, organizations operate because of people. Of course, they might have great products, but those products are also invented and discovered by human beings. So, are we creating an environment for human beings to be strong, good with communication with each other? Are we creating an environment which creates excitement and happiness for people? That's part of the organizational culture. Now, a resilient employee, of course, exhibits a lot of such qualities where they are much more aware of their own self, because they do meditations and mindfulness techniques. They are calm because they are able to manage their breath and anger, and also because they practice creative visualization. There is a concept which can help them achieve their goals using a positive energy framework. uh, they are much more successful in their lives, if I have to put it like that. So, in that case, a person who is clear, confident, has good network with his colleagues, and is committed and will be able to achieve his goals because they are clear of what they want in life, would be an asset to any organization. Okay, so that's what I had to say. Okay, Soumya has a question. How to work on resilience as a team with team building activities or so. Okay, that's interesting. So, if I've understood your question correctly, um, you're talking about doing team building activities which will help us be more resilient, is the question. So, think of some team building activities which build collaboration amongst each other. So there could be games and activities that you could, as an HR person, deploy, and then also think of important things like meditations, physical activity, the relevance of that to help people clear off their minds. Imagine in today's time, we're sitting at home, only a few of us who are passionate are actually working out. Now, those people who are, let's say, working out have an advantage because they're able to clear their energy bodies with the negativity that might have got cluttered and clean themselves up. So it's like cleaning exercise when we do exercise workouts. So if we are able to physically, let's say, create a game where a lot of our colleagues come together through a work from home option, online option, and think of them all doing workouts together, yoga together, or maybe a instructor who comes and helps them do meditation together. These are all activities that can help you build resilience. Um, we as a company also help organizations do that. So if you want to reach out to us, we could showcase some resilience related activities which can help your employees feel better, build up a better well-being environment, and also in that process build up resilience for yourself. So there are a lot of techniques that are full of that are available that can help us be more resilient. Okay, so another question is basically on courses to train employees in developing resilience. I would say that we get back to, you can get back to us. Our email ID would be contact@chromconsulting.com. I've added that on the chat, and you can reach out to us over an email, and I would be available to help you out with such kind of techniques. We do a lot of complimentary sessions right now in the times of pandemic, and as an organization, we have workshops available to build up resilience in the organization. We call them as so there are three flagship programs I can talk to you about. One is resilient leadership, which typically is for managers and above, where we talk about not just the benefits of what is resilient leadership, but also practices that help you build that. Secondly, mastering mindfulness. This is for anybody in any organization. If you want to know and want to build up mindfulness techniques, mindfulness tools, we help you master them by doing it on a regular basis for 21 days. We help you do that together, and you will be able to build a habit around it. Thirdly, 4 C's to an abundant life, which talks about 4 C's basically, and then there are practices around it in these 4 C's. So the 4 C's are clarity, how to build clarity, how to build courage, self-esteem. The third C is how to help you build connections, which includes networking and coaching, etc. And the fourth aspect is supporting you to continue to build commitment to be successful. So there is also a video that I've done with Jobs for Her on 4 C's to success in the past as well. You can look up for that also. But we run a flagship program. If you might be interested in, you can reach out to us for that. With that, I thank you for joining in, and look forward to more questions and connecting with you over an email. Thank you so much for being a great audience.